Looks like we're up. I just need to get up on the computer here. Outstanding. All right. Let's see where we're at here. Looks like F1's on bag 7. This one's on bag 8. Let's go. It's been a little bit of a hiatus since I've been able to do this because I was getting my own cars ready for an event, and I'm actually gearing up to go on vacation in a little while, so I figured I better get on this. So let me see if I can separate this stuff out. Right, this stuff clearly goes over there. Alright, we got everything set aside. Alright. I'll be a long, boring process watching somebody else build. Alright, I'm gonna take care to get that almost flush. How big is the we're looking at like 187. Alright, I need to get one of these manuals open on my computer.
What would you like to do with your computer? I'm here to help you explore all the amazing possibilities.
Computer, stop. God, she's such an overachiever. Alright, we're going here. We want 2 millimeters sticking up from the spring collar. So let me pull it out of there. Some of this hardware is a tight fit. It's not a bad thing. It just is a thing. And we're a little bit beyond. Let's go ahead and tighten it up a little bit more. Bingo bango. Close enough. Finding myself working on the bottom of the screen a little bit. Let's tilt down a little bit. There we go. Get the other thing in there. All right. In more. Maybe a fraction of a turn more. Close enough. All right. I think on my own personal builds, I've actually put some longer screws in this, but we're building this to kit, so. Oh man, almost perfect, right? We'll keep it nice and flush right there, and then Once it's flush and even, we'll put that up to it. That's how I'm measuring this. Fraction of a turn. Fraction of a turn. Maybe it didn't turn it this last time. Oop, might have overshot. A little bit less. A little bit more or less. All right. Now, let me figure out which bin I've got the good stuff in here. I'm about to learn you guys some funny stuff. Most people know what I'm about to do, but just in case, let's get it going. Here, I'm opening up my glue. Make sure I got a rag or something to dab this glue when it's time. All right. So, what we need to do, I think I'm going to get out one of the most trusty tools on the planet, especially according to Grant Boyd, another racer I have high esteem for. We're going to bust out the most useful tool in all of RC. And I'm going to just put all of our little spring perches in the holes. Ta-da! And what we're going to do is we're going to take that little bit of thread that's left over from this, where the screw isn't all the way in there. I'm just going to add a little dollop of glue in these holes. This will act as a thread lock, but this will also keep the screw from moving around when you make adjustments, because you want to keep that same distance. And the beautiful part is, if you ever take this screw out because you need to put in a longer one for any old reason, as I have learned, this little glue plug you're basically putting in this will stay put. So I have glued those. I'm just going to leave this glue handy for a little bit. And as I was sharing with friends of mine earlier today, if I can manage to find is it behind me somewhere? I got a lot of stuff around here. Right here. There it is. All right. Sometimes if you want to speed things along, use a little bit of glue kicker. I recommend the Bob Smith Industries stuff. This smells like strawberries and is easy on your lungs. Some of the other stuff I've used before, I can't say the same. So I'm going to spray some in here, and then we'll put it right over these things so that the vapors will set that glue. Just like that. We'll just give that a minute. Meanwhile, we got a couple of tweak braces we're going to have to worry about. And let me show you my technique for that. One of the most important parts. So I'm going to find a long screw. Here, we'll use this one. All right. So I'm going to grab a regular, where's the 1/5 wrench? There it is. All right, so we got a regular screw from the kit. Not the set screws that we're working on here. It's a regular screw. And what you're going to do is you're going to find where those holes are going to go for your tweak screws. We're going to put it right in the hole. And it's going to be real tough. So you can back this in and out by hand, as I'm doing. Or you can make Tim the Toolman Taylor proud, bust out some power tools. What I like to do, this carbon will get hot, so watch where you place your finger. So I'm going to just bring it in, bring it out, bring it in, bring it out. Kind of like Homer Simpson. Bed goes up, bed goes down. You get the point. All right. And then what you're doing is you're cutting those threads so that when you do it with the set screw, you ain't going to strip it out. All right, so there's the one. Let's get this other brace. Last hole. And Bob's your uncle. Okay. And that's why I keep my electric screwdriver around. Now, another thing that I prefer to do, I'm going to use a reamer tool. And I'm just going to taper the edges of each side of the hole. Not much, just a little bit. Just kind of clean it up a little. And it might be very difficult to focus on that, but if you could, you'd see that the inside of this hole actually has very beautiful threads cut in it now. So, yep, just clean up and deburr a little bit. Just a little bit. Because the next step is to put these spring perches in their hole. They're not too good for their home. So, okay, so we've removed that, and as you can see, all that glue is set. So we are good to go. I'm going to locate the top side of each brace. You will notice that the F1 brace has some cuts in it, for lowering some stuff. So I'm actually going to do myself a real good favor. I'm going to pop open the F1 manual in my computer here so I can make sure I'm giving you the best possible advice. Also, I'm going to take my keyboard apart. There we go. My number 2 key on my keyboard is being a pain in the butt. So, alright, let me get down to the steps where we install that tweak brace. Outstanding. I got the reference I need. Alright. 0.9 driver. Now what you're going to do, you're going to stick the tip of that driver through the tweak brace and engage the screw on the opposite side. Once you know you got that in there, kind of try to hold it square and flush with your finger, which I just dropped the stupid wrench. Then once you feel the threads go, you can just pull it flush there. Good. I'll just go ahead and stick this through. All right. And then once you're done there, each one you can just kind of push the spring on. But what I like to do is pull out on it and twist a little. Just make sure it's not too compressed onto the O-ring. You'll need to push a little bit at first, and then it's all about a little pull out and squeeze. Make sure it's on there nice and straight, and we got it done for that car. Now, you're going to want this flat part facing up. So we need to install the tweak screws from the other side. So same process as before. We'll get at it from the back side. And I try to be careful once I get close to contact here to not back it up too much farther, because I'm not trying to pull out the screw that we glued in there. Like I said, just when you're getting kind of there, I'd stop for now. Well, the glue hasn't set 100% yet, so you don't want to like pull it out or nothing. Alright, we'll just get that other spring on here. Get that spring kind of settled in a good way. Okay, now we got that done. Now my next question is, where's all the screws for this step? I mean, I consider myself a fairly intelligent individual, but all right. So we got that done. And it says there's still bag number 9 on. All right, I must have taken some stuff out of that bag when I did the thing last time. Oh no, never mind. I'm holding it in my hand. Yay! All right. Work smarter, not harder. All right. All right, so for securing this on, I have some screws over here. Is the same size? Yep. All right. Well, let's get all these screws over here. And that must be from this. So you're going to take the shorter of these screws. I believe that they will. Yep, I'll go right through that. So what you're trying to do on. Don't tell them I'm going to need these screws here. All right. Wrong wrench. All right. That's a long screw. it's a long block. Okay. Alright, just installing these standoffs for the tweak brakes. Now, this is supposed to be keyed into a hole in the carbon fiber, so I want to make sure I engage that hole. Boop. Dropping stuff. And this is too long of a screw. This was not the one I was supposed to use. And this is what all the fun of picking up where you left off, right? Alright, so I've come to the conclusion that I need to harvest some screws from my kit here. I got a special bin for XB screws. Here we go. Perfect. Alright, we're back. Alright. Let me grab some screws out of here. My tweezers on. Alright. I did fling a screw over here. The eternal curse of dropping stuff. For the sake of the video, I'm going to just carry on. All right. All right. We're back. All right, a little bit of Loctite goes a long way. If you're lucky, maybe you never have to tighten the screw again. I just want to look at one thing. Yep, just make sure I'm using the right screws. Every once in a while, I give myself a reason to question myself. And that's good. It means you care. Make sure I'm loosen it up a little bit so I can get that in that pilot hole. Beautiful. All right. So now I actually have the thing I need to fasten this to. All right, so we got 2 short screws. Oop. That goes to that car genius. All right. Let me see what I'm doing here. All right. So before we put this on, we're going to want to do the body posts. So these body posts. Gotta love Xbility. It's good thinking. They're nice, sturdy body posts. This little hex part on the base is going to hit your damper tubes. So what you got to do, take some cutters. Ow. I didn't cut myself, just scared me a little. But yeah. So you just have to shave off all the hexes so that it's round. I'm going to do this down below the bench, but into my trash can so that it is a little easier to clean up later. And as you can see, new Hack City, but that will hold. There's not a very demanding body count. If you really want to, you could use any other body post you want. But this was a known oversight. They made a post about it. You got to pretty much cut these hexes off, otherwise they're going to interfere with your suspension. Now, another cool trick that I like to do is sometimes I'll chuck this in a drill and just try to round it. But I don't know that that's going to be necessary. So I will get my screws, put them through the appropriate holes. Make sure you're putting stuff in the right way. Obviously, you're going to want your body post to stick up the opposite side of your springs. Ta-da! And just for my body post to face the correct way in the relationship to where I want it to be. Get that there. All right. And the next inside hole. All right. We're going to end up cutting that down a lot to fit the body. So let me at least get this mounted to the car and then we'll deal with that problem. Don't need these sticking up a mile high. All right. I'm just going to go with a dabble on the Loctite on the actual threads in here. Don't need much, just enough to glaze over the holes, like such. That's what I like to do. Alright, there's Uno. And there's Dos. Tighten it up a little bit. Not too tight, just snug finger tight. And now I will question off of my own car somewhere. Well, that is the question. Where is that car? I need to know how much body clip to cut off. No, I thought I had my cars out. I may just have to wing it for now. Looking at everything very intently around me. Well, I like bumping stuff. Sorry, guys. Gonna give you nausea trying to watch my show. Interesting. I have less than one idea of exactly where I put my F1 car. That'll be fun. Gotta be around here somewhere, right? Give me a moment. Box my GT car. Well, oh, there it is. It was right in front of my face. Classic me. All right. Dude, you don't know how many thousand heart attacks I was trying to have just now. Well, these aren't even the same body posts anymore. Oh, so much for that. I was going to figure out something, but now I'm just going to set this over here where it's more visible. I can find it next time. All right. Look here. Let's figure out. Put the body on. Well, and it doesn't like this body because I use different posts and the holes are smaller. Okay. Pretty sure I use this body with the OG posts. All right. Let's get that in front of that. All right. So one can assume that fitment we're lopping off at least to that hole. There we go. All right. We're figuring out stuff. All right. There we are. So we're leaving 2 holes intact. We're cutting on the 3rd. And that'll be enough body posts for that. All right. So now we have the side springs installed. Fancy. All right. We'll do the same thing for this car, which is going to involve me pulling out some stuff. These are little templates to cut off your side clips on your body. I don't know if my friend is intending on using body posts or not, but he may consider that. All right, let's pull all the hardware out. I was asked to put the side clip pieces in. Something that this will be the first time I've done it because I don't use front and side clips on my bodies. I use body posts. And some people prefer the clips just for the aesthetic of it. I don't like having body pops. And ever since I went to posts, that was the most easy solution that worked most always part of the time. So, all right, we're going to go ahead and set these in here. There's a little bit of crit in that hole. Let's see if I can get this in there. I might poke that hole out with a scribe here. might use the screw to pull that through, actually. So, these are all the same. What you can do is you can get the thread started, putting it in. So you line it up to its little hole. And use the screw to mechanically pull it through its little set screw hole. That seems to have worked splendidly. Alright. So before I commit to calling that piece done, get a little Loctite on here. Get that figured out and snug. And that one still needs a screw, so now something I did not look at before I committed is what direction these clips are going to be. Alright, let me reference my manual directions for the GT car. Okay, so the slots are supposed to be forward. So I did it right, because I was realizing that it's probably possible to turn that around and have it orientated the other way, but this is actually correct. So you'll just slide in your side clip piece, and then we got another screw you can install to secure it. It's kind of nice because they're metal, and I would love to believe that that would make it better, but then again, you can just break or bend the metal. Yay! So good luck. Honestly, if you're breaking these things off, you're probably being a little rough with your car, if we're being honest. All right, here, let me get the screw ready to go before I worry about lining that up. Oh man, yeah, stressful morning this morning. I was well, a little bit after morning kind of time, but yeah, I was getting my accommodations all squared away for Worlds. I was getting wherever I'm staying in the Netherlands, over there in Holland, getting all my stuff booked up, because that's going to be on us before we know it. So I better hurry on up. I'm really excited about that, actually. It'll be my first international trip. I'm gonna go play with toy cars with my friends over in another country. That's first time for that. Looking forward to it. All right. Not too tight, but calibrated wrist tight. Not too tight that you fracture it when you put it in, and then when you try to take it out, it breaks on you, and then you go on the internet and start complaining about durability when it's like, bro, you probably put it in too tight. So yeah, there you are. All right, so those bags are done. I will keep this over here for later. Okay, well, this will be a unique one. Got the F1's bell crank and servo saver. So we'll get all this stuff out. All right. The other thing I want to check is to make sure there have been some known issues with these. So I want to make sure everything's going to fit together the way it should. We obviously are on a quest for perfection that is sometimes really hard to obtain with the manufacturing of things. We will get it all figured out here. So make sure that bearing's going to go in there. Oh, the bearing's not supposed to go in there. Bearing's supposed to go in here, dummy. All right. Boom, boom. So I'm just going to whip this together real quick. My hope by whipping this together is to make sure it will go together correctly. I'm going to do this without the spring for a second. Yeah, looks like it will. Alrighty. This is the point in the video where I encourage you highly. This spring is pretty damn soft. And they came out with a new spring kit for this. It has a firmer spring. I have it in my car now, my F1 car, and it's working good. But this one is too weak. So what you have to do, at the very, very, very least, both of these brass shims need to go on. And you may have to add some shims to really, really tighten that down. So if you don't, what ends up happening is whenever you bump something or steer, it'll open up, but then it won't like always return to zero because there's not a lot of spring force on that. Like right now, that's real easy to actuate. I'm going to do my buddy a favor. Let me dig. I have more shims somewhere in this whole shebang. Just looking through my hardware real quick. Stand by. Yeah, I would have thought that I had it in that tote. Check some of my other boxes here. Oh, no. Interesting. Trying to locate the piece I'm looking for, which I thought was in this bin, but I moved it elsewhere, so we'll find it. These are axle shims. That's not going to be what I need. All right, well, let me understand if I got shims somewhere else I can use. All right, the ID, these shims, is pretty much like 4.5. Yeah, nearly. So let me see if I have any. Oh yeah. And look at my 4.5. All right, well, a little bit bigger than I need, but that might actually do the trick for us here. Put that down there, and we'll put the big boy in first. Yeah, I was at a race up in New Jersey for a East Coast Regionals race, and the only thing the hobby shop had to sell me that would help me with my predicament was a shim set from one of their Traxxas cars that they sell. But hey, it worked. So I'm going to put one more of those in here. What I'm trying to do for my friend is just simply lock this servo saver down. Until we get that new spring in there. We don't want this thing goofing on them. Alright, so I tighten that up. And essentially what that's doing is compressing the spring all the way so that this servo saver doesn't work. Doing that on purpose because I don't have the stuff I need. It was not part of the parts he gave me. However, he did give me the mass damper, which is awesome. I love this thing. So I will definitely get this in. Oh, hey. Looks like I got somebody watching. Well, I had somebody watching. Dang. Hello, darkness, my old friend. All right. There we go. Get everything out of the bag. So I keep a wonderful trash can right underneath the desk because there's a lot of stuff to throw away as you build all this. All right, so we got a top screw. All right, so that's the single screw for the bottom. All right. I'm just going to go ahead and grease this up. Well, by grease, I mean apply thread lock. Normally my term for that is butter it up. Because in my household, butter is the hero ingredient. So if I die of a heart attack, just know it was the butter. Like the Lady Olenna of our house. Tell Cersei I want her to know it was me. Alright. I'll just dab off some excess thread lock. Don't want to make a mess. Alrighty. Alright. Switching over to F1 manual. It's kind of funny, it's because the F1 card's got all these little hairs from when they milled the carbon fiber. We're gonna get the screws in there. Hey, somebody else is watching again. Welcome. Now we have 3. Oh man. I'm gonna be under pressure now. Can't make any mistakes when people are actually watching the live stream. Alright. If you're just tuning in, I'm over here building things, and I am putting this F1 together. And one of the pieces I've just covered is that the kit servo saver spring is too soft, so I've added some shims in here to lock the spring down so the servo saver doesn't work, so that your car will still drive in a straight line even after you hit stuff, because my experience with it is the servo saver spring was so soft it wouldn't return to center, so every time I'd hit something, my car would be drifting one way or the other. So until my friend gets their hard servo saver spring in there, we're just going to add some shims, fix it up for him. Alright, and then we got to put this shaft in the back. Now we're only one watching. They weren't ready for that knowledge. So, anyway. Put this back post in here. And the beautiful thing about this back post is that we're going to drop a washer, a spring. Pretty sure this is, yeah. And we're going to drop the weight, then another spring, and a washer. Well, this washer is going to be tricky. Hold on, guys. Just sit there. Oh. It just doesn't want to. I might have to get medieval on this thing. Alright, so I'm going to add just a little bit of Loctite into this hole. Not squeezing it down the hole, I'm just trying to spread it on the sides of the threads. Because what I need to do here is this is also getting a little shim right on top. Then this carbon brace needs to go right on top of that. Alright, cool. We're going to thread that most of the way in because I'm going to go ahead and saddle up this screw onto the driver, because the way that I'm going to get this shim to stay put is by compressing the weight down, putting the shim on the shaft like that, turning that over, and realizing that I forgot to put Loctite in that hole, so let me do that real quick. Ba-doom! Alright, and maybe I can ask this screw nicely to lift up a little bit so I can line it up, and then boom. Just a gentle finger tight. We got a little bit of a boing, 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 boing. A little springy action. And now I have bound up the bell crank. Now the bell crank is binding. Now we must figure out why. Okay. Loosen that up a little bit. I'll take this screw out. move that over. And that drops out the washer. All right. Why are you doing that? Alright, so that pivot's just fine. But clearly, the bearing race is going a little bit beyond. Try something. Use my Eagle Racing bearing puller tool. This thing's awesome. Pull the bearings out. I'm going to figure out if there's anything keeping the bearings from seating all the way. You know, these bearings have two sides. This is what I've decided was the problem. Is you have one side here where the inner race is clearly protruding up. Trying to see where we might be able to focus in on this. So the inner race there is definitely sticking up from the rest of it. And on this side, the shield kind of... So maybe simply flipping this over will help us. Alright, so we got good action there. We're still binding a little bit, huh? I mean, I could just leave that loose and it'd be fine, but... that's not the objective here. Hold on. Okay. I feel like I either need to add another shim over here to level that out, or just on a hunch, with all that stuff installed, make sure nothing's in the way. We're at 1551. I'm wondering if adding this extra shim in here has made it to where this won't compress down all the way. So let me pull one of those shims out and put that other brass one back in there. Do not need to remove that one. Spring piece. Thread into the assembly piece. Cross threading. Don't do that. Try to get that thread up squarely. There we go. Actually, got a little bit of spring left in that, and I forget what the first value was, but it's a little bit less. Let's just rock it with that. We'll see if that works. Hey, it works. So I just put one too many shims in there. Hey, it was my fault. My fault, sorry. My fault. Alright, so now we tighten that up nice and snugly. And she flops around just like she's supposed to. And if I need to, yep, that should be alright. Cool. Alright. What's next? Man, looks like based on these bags, looks like I'm building some front ends. Got bulkheads in here? Or is that the next bag? Oh yeah. I'm gonna open up both these bags at the same time. Get all the goodies out. I'll just speed up the process here. I mean, you guys don't really want me to have to go into video 3 of 3. We'll see. Alright, so that's the F1 side of things. So this is all the GT car side of things. Alright, no parts left in my baggies. Throw all that away. Oh, there's even some lovely little surprises in here, huh? I'll put F1 stuff back there for now. This will actually go pretty quick with the front end assembly. I'm fairly proficient at it. I've had to make some adjustments before that did not take too much time. Alright, I'm going to keep these in their baggies just for giggles. So you got the 9mm long one and the 9.5mm long one. We're just going to leave those right in their bags just so we don't have to measure it out later and be tedious about it. Alright. So we got the ball cups. Let's collect our caps. We got our lovely wrenches to use to set things. Got a lot more of these plastic caps than we really need, huh? Say thank you. If you don't have the aluminum caps, you might have to replace these every once in a while. It's not a huge thing, but an occasional thing for sure. Alright, let's get the axles into the steering blocks. You'll definitely want the side that has the threads for the knuckleball caps. You want that side out, so let's go ahead and finger tight that in for now. Oh, notice I got some. Oh, I had 3 watching. Now I have 1 watching. Hey, if anybody's actually watching, feel free to say hello. All right, now, shock shaft pliers. Wonderful tool as you grab it by the axle Give it a little twist just to make sure that's tight. It won't scar up your axle at all, but it helps you make sure you get it done. There she is. All right, so those are tight. And then those are going to go there. So you're going to have your upper arms and your lower arms. Let's get those orientated. So your arms are going to want to face backwards in relation to the front of the car. They're going to lean back. So you will see the tweak screw goes in the back like that. And then you have for your front shock mounts for your lower arms. However, these need to be reversed because these little protrusions are going to go down. All right. So essentially, that's how they'll be orientated, with the bumps facing outward. All right, now I find my 0.9 driver, which is no doubt still around here somewhere. Get this grub screw in there. Now, sometimes these are very difficult at first to use. So sometimes what I do is I'll put it against the table and push while turning a little bit. That'll help you deburr the entrance to that hole. And we're just going to thread these into these lower arms. You want to thread it in until it's flush. And no farther. Make sure I'm on the right side. That one just went in there, so that was easy. All right, so those are our lowers. And what I'm going to choose to do is why I unpacked all of this is I want to get the arms in first. So the upper arms, take the 9 and the lower arms take the 9.5. So let's get the lower arms in first. So we get these 2 pins out. There they are. What we're going to do you might choose to find an emery board or something and just kind of hit this like this, just ever so gently, just to take off any burrs. Might do a little bit of a circular motion. Part of kit building. Sometimes things don't perfectly fit together, and sometimes this is why, just because these are molded parts. Sometimes they need a little bit of love. I'm just gonna, I'm doing this all off camera, sorry guys. All right. Oop, sorry, I bumped the camera on you. Now, this is the front. This is where the front shocks mount. This is where the arms mount. So we're going to want to put this over. Just make sure that slides over nice and smooth. All right. Now you have 2 holes. So I'm just going to start that pin, but I'm not going to push it all the way through. So you have the 2 different holes. You have the upper and your lower. If you look at it in relation to that way. Higher roll center, lower roll center. So for starters, we're just going to start this off in the lower roll center hole for my buddy. Now, one of the things we always look for is that this falls under its own weight. So that's good. All right. Let me try to get this set screw. And sometimes it just needs a little bit of motivation. There she goes. All right. A little bit of Loctite. Just a little bit on this one. You don't need a terrible amount. And then into the bottom here, you'll place this set screw to secure that pin. And just snug enough to secure the pin so it won't fall out. And one of the things that I notice is now it's not going up and down so good. Has nothing to do with the inside clearance because I can move that around. There's a gap in there. You can barely see it, but there's a gap in there. So sometimes just simply flapping it around will free it up. So it makes you feel stupid doing it, right? But sometimes just moving it around does the trick. Because the lower pin is going to be in a fixed position. So it's the plastic that's pivoting over this. So if it doesn't get to a point where it's going to be free, you might have to free up those holes a little bit. Wondering if I can give these the standard pliers squeeze through this hole in the bulkhead. I can. All right. I'm just going to give it a light squeeze with the pliers on each side. And hey, look, now she's flippity floppity floop. I like it. All right. Now let's do the other side. You can coin that, by the way. Flippity floppity floop. And some of that could have been from me taking this emery board onto these inside surfaces just to clean up some schmutz. I could have pushed some burrs into the holes. So maybe taking maybe just plunging that through, twisting it a little bit, and then making sure I didn't push anything into the holes. All right. Now we're going to make sure we also put this second one in the lower hole. Which I did. And then bust out the old 0.9. All right. Butter her up. You heard nothing. All right. This one sticks a little bit, so you can flap it around or just get around each side and just give it a light little squeeze. Nothing too hardcore. Just enough to give her a squeeze. Yeah, might need a little bit more on that one. Oh, this one's being persistent. Well, I got the side-to-side play I'm looking for, so that's good. I'm just going to have to give her another squeeze. There she goes. That's much better. Not perfect, though. Let's give her one more little round of little squeezes. Let me get at it from both sides here. I'll make sure. Oh, perfect. Yep. Gotta make birdie flat. All right. So now we put that back in the orientation so we can understand. Now this time we'll take these 9mm screws, or pins rather. These load through the front, but these are tricky. So we're gonna line up our pieces, and again, not a bad idea just to clean up some of the flashing from the mold, especially on the inside here. Just clean her up. All right. Might as well do this one while I'm thinking about it. Good enough. All right. So here's what makes this fun. Yep. All right. You got to put these little caster shims in here. So you can't just push them on. Or if you can, I'm dumb and I just haven't done that. So I like to actually loop them in. Okay, so you got 3 holes there. You're going to want the topmost one. The lower holes give you more camber gain, but that is not a setting you really need to mess with right now. We're just trying to get the stock setting of the car. All right. So now I need to use something like pliers, just so I get a really good grip on this little, got a little eyelet tab. Just to get a real good grip on that. You can see what I'm doing here. Then I'm going to try to pull this pin out a little bit. You got to put the put this other caster shim kind of in the way of that pin, and then push it all together, which I've not been successful with lining this up great, but it kind of found its way. Now it's in the way. Perfect. So now I got a shim on each side, which is the intention. And this is going to take a 1-3 driver. And this little screw, its purpose, the head of the screw is going to get in the way of the pin and keep that pin from coming out. So this is just a little pin retention screw. And now, yep. What did I say before? Flippity floppity floop. The little things that'll become my catchphrases. Put that on a t-shirt. All right. Then everybody's gonna be like, "You got that from the Cinderella movie?" And I'm like, "Yes, probably did. I watched that movie when I was a kid too." Flippity floppity floop. I had to change my catchphrase for copyright reasons. All right. Enough of that. Let's concentrate. So once I kind of got this, I got that in between it. carefully pull the pin back until I can slide that arm in and then get it back in that top hole. All right, so that's the first part of it. And let me grab this. Come on. Well, I already got the stupid pin in there too far. There we go. Alright, so now I can try to move this into position. Man, I really wish I'd focus better. That's why I use like pliers like this. I just gotta remember to actually pinch this so that it doesn't move when I'm trying to weasel it into a slot here. So the next question would be, hey, you like making caster changes? No, no, I do not. Because it is a pain in the buns. But at least I have the option. I don't find myself changing that setting a whole lot. There's so many other settings that I would change before I really considered that one. Unless it was in like a, big picture sense where I was walking into a race and I was like, okay, this side's track, maybe I want 3 degrees of caster. Okay, so for the GT car, this ridge faces up. So you'll want that to face inside the car and that to face up. So this is going to go on this side. And this is going to go on this side. So now we're going to get that 1-3 wrench back. 1-3. I think. Oh. Okay. The titanium ones are 1-3. The titanium versions of these, highly recommended. These will, if you get into a nice impact or whatever, these can bend. That will definitely ruin your day. The aluminum ones, not so great. They made a running change to fix that problem, and they're not expensive. So that's kind of cool. Pick them up from your local hobby shop. Alright, we're just going to kind of screw these in a little bit. You don't need them in all the way. Just enough. Alright, so let me regain my orientation here. Man. I've already been doing this for almost an hour and a half, guys. I was trying to finish this. We're probably going to get a third video. Another lesson to be taught from this video, something I can communicate, is that you always kind of feel like something's only going to take a certain amount of time. It's always going to take longer. So, yeah, I'll be able to get this all done in like a couple hours. No, you won't. All right, so this wonderful guy is essentially a 2mm hex, which I think I actually have a 2mm hex right here. So if we compare head sizes, try to see if I can find some glare. Pretty sure these are 2mm hexes, or maybe they're 2.5s. Nah, they're 2.5s, and I don't have that handy. But if you want to, you can just buy like a 2.5 driver, like MIP or something, to put these on and off. I'm taking a drink of my beverage. Wild cherry and cream. Good. But that's why they give you this in the kit. So you'll put your plastic pillow ball cap on the thing. And I like to back it out a little bit, just make sure that I'm not cross-threading. And then I've tightened it up to the point where it is awfully snug. And we're going to get the other one. Put it on here. Again, I'm going to back up a little bit, just to make sure I'm threading it in straight. We'll put that in there. And it's going to be awfully snug. That ain't going nowhere. But I like to, while it's snug like this, I like to force it to move around a little bit. This will help roll any burrs from the injection molding. This kind of helps shape the plastic a little. And then what the trick is you're going to back that out about a half turn, back that out about a half turn, and then all day. But there's still a little bit of wiggle there. So now we got this figured out. So we'll start with one. Screw it in there a little bit. We'll keep screwing it in until we feel the friction. Still pretty loose. There it is. Okay, so we're going to back that off just a little bit. And we're still binding. So we're going to back that off a little bit more. And we're loose. And I got no play. So then we'll go to the other side. We'll tighten it up. We got some binding. Back that off just a pinch. I feel like I might have overshot my adjustment there. Nope. I was actually right on the money. You want that free moving. But if you hold the two arms, you don't want that to have too much play in the ball sockets. But if you do it right, it's all day. Just like that. So again, same on the other side. Thread that in until it's too tight. Make sure I'm starting this off squarely. There we go. Put that in there until it's too tight. And then I'm going to force it. Just rubbing that, pushing that ball into the spherical indentation into these, just to kind of get that friction going, help shape it. All right, back them off. Floppy. Pick one, tighten it up a little bit, try to find that binding. Maybe. Nope, still gotta go tighter. All right, binding. Good. Back it off just a little bit. No binding. All right, tighten up the other one. More. Ah, yes. Binding. Take it out a little bit. There she goes. No XX play. Now, through using this car, it's plastic. It's probably going to compress a little bit. You're going to probably find yourself readjusting this. Don't be afraid to take your shocks off. Take this off the car every once in a while. And just make sure these pillow ball caps are where they need to be as far as their tightness, so that you don't have any slop in them and they're free playing. That is, see? See, you can push it up sometimes. It'll stick. So we don't know if that's the top or the bottom, so I'm just gonna take it to each extent. Just rub it. I feel like it's catching on the bottom one. I thought I saw that visually too, so I was loosening that bottom one up a little bit. No, was that the top one? Okay, maybe put the bottom one back a little bit. Take the top one out a little bit. There she goes. Okay. This is something you just get a feel for. You know, just making sure that these are free moving, everything's good. So, what they're having you do is you got these two wrenches. You got the bottom arm one that's thicker, the top arm one. So, setting your track width and your camber. So, start with the bottom. You just kind of put that in there. But you want the arms to be fairly level. What you're going to do is you're going to stick your 1.5 in there to the pillow ball. Once I can find it. There she is. All right, now, right now we got a little bit of gap there. So what we're going to do is we're going to tighten up this pillow ball until she's on top of it. Which is right about there. I have to loosen this up just a little bit to get the wrench out. Basically, you want it to work. It's in there. It's not too tight in there. Now, also for reference, one of the things I do to measure this is the width of this wrench is 2.5. But you can also go here from the bottom. What I like to do is I'll get my calipers in here and I'll go from the base of the plastic to the base of the ball. See, that's a little bit bigger. So if we ignore this piece, just throw that away. If you got a set of calipers, use them. The template works, but I like this method better. You got to try to keep the pillow balls like level and just about the same too, because right now that had too much positive camber. Okay, so you kind of keep these flat. Like I said, I kind of push it that way down a little bit just to get this out of the way, and then from the base of the plastic to the base of the pillow ball. Not 2.6, so I need to tighten that up a little bit. If we put it at 2.5, that's where we're aiming for. Boom, there she is. Same thing on the other side. Let's see what she measures here. Oh man, that's way too big. All right, well, guess we're going to need to bring that in. All right. All right. You can even leave the wrench in there if you want to. So then you can just base of the plastic to the base of the pillow ball. 2.7. Ooh, I made it a little bit too short. A little bit too big. What do you think? Am I just compressing the plastic with opening it up? pretty damn close. Try to see what I'm doing here. Taking the one side right up against the plastic, and the other side I'm putting it right up against the base of the spherical part of the ball. And if you do it right, so you'll see it's 253, so I could maybe bring it in just a flinch. That's pretty good. And that's how I do that. Now you'll notice if I put these arms out parallel to each other, I've got a lot of positive camber lift. So we'll definitely set that when we get it out of the actual car. This one here, this template measures almost like 2 mil. So you could go for 2 mil right there, but one of the things you're going to notice is if you set that at 2 mil, you're going to have an incredible amount of camber. So that's where I'll just set that when I get it on the car. But all right, so we take all these extra plastic caps, set them aside, but keep them though. You're gonna want those. So that is one front end done. I think I got time to put the other front end together. I'm trying to see, was the next bag has some screws to. Yeah. I at least want to get that far. So in the next bag, you should find a whole bunch of shims that's free floating in here. We don't need all these. We just need the 2 countersunk screws, just so we can install this front end on the chassis. All right, give that some Loctite. You're gonna want this one Loctited because this one can be a pain if this gets loose. So we go tighten it all the way up. I would back the screw out a little bit and put it back in just to kind of help work the thread locker into place. Now, thread locker, you're at the track, you put a little bit of thread locker on it, you tighten up the screw. Yay, I'm fine. No. Thread locker actually takes roughly about 24 hours to set up properly. So don't trust thread locker as much at the actual track. If you need to secure a screw that's getting loose on you at the track, I'd probably go ahead and use super glue. Thread lock is really good, but thread lock also has to dry. So like I said, that takes about 24 hours. So cool. Front end's installed on that guy. We'll carry on with that in a little while. I got to get the front end one built now, or the front end one, the F1 front end built. Well, I just dropped that tool and it's now chilling out by my foot. Heck yeah. All right, throw that away. Grab this tool, if I can find it. There it is. There. Put that back where it goes. I keep having people popping in here. It's like, hey, I got somebody watching. And then they dip out. And nobody says hi. You can go in the chat. You can be like, what's up, dude? If you're Alex Soto, I'll even go get a damn beer out of the fridge. We'll crack it open in friendship. All right. Well, you saw me build the other one, right? One of the things I absolutely adore about Xbility is, for the exception of this steering bell crank system and the chassis itself, all of this is the same as this car. The front end, rear end, all that, the side links, it's all the same. So that makes it real easy. If you've already seen me build the front end on the other one, technically you really don't need to see me do this, but I'm doing it. And I can also say, because I'm assuming I'm getting the good wink from the boss and stuff like that, that the new cars that are coming down the pipe for Xbility, can't say much about them except that they will use a lot of the same parts as these cars, or they would be interchangeable at the very least. So if we put out a different car, it's got a different front end, you could bolt this front end on that car and it will work just fine. We're trying to do our best to give people the option of chasing all their hunches. Like, I think this car might actually be awesome with this front end. All right, we'll put it on, see. Do us a favor, let us know. If it's awesome, tell us. We like that feedback. Also, I'll probably be doing a proper video on it later, but if you want, you can talk to my buddy Brian Swaney. He just made me this custom new setup board here. And this is it's pretty nice. I like that a lot. It's got my my local club. Put that up on there. And my sponsor. And then of course me spelling my last name phonetically to be kind to the race directors, because that last name tends to bring hesitation when people have to say it. So I just say it for them. Because, yeah, first day of school, as you can imagine, for me was always a traumatic day because everybody had to stop and make a big deal about it. It's like, the name is Zaylee. Easy. It's Zaylee. But they don't know, so I help them out. Alright, we're just sorting parts. Might as well knock out the axles first again. Alright, orientation on the F1 car. That protrusion will face down on this car. Not that it matters at this moment for putting on the axles, but I just wanted to comment on that. Now, the illustrations in the manual can be a little confusing on that because it's facing down in one but not the other. And yeah, I don't know that it's too late to change or what, but you know, nobody's perfect. We're all trying really hard, but you know, we got 200 moving targets to worry about, and sometimes the manual has a flaw. I've seen that with many other brands. Alright, just use that squeeze onto the axle while I turn that. Just make sure she's nice and snug. Don't need to be too snug. The Loctite will take care of the rest once it dries. And now that I have my lower arms in their desired orientation here for how I'm going to install them, I'll go ahead and install the front droop screws. Take it to just where it's about to protrude, and you're done. Yeah, we're going to go to video 303. I need to show how to do all the rest of this stuff. Only taking you part way is not very kind. Alright, so I'm going to do the bottom arms first. The bottom arms take the longer axles, the 9.5 pins. It even says axles in the instructions, but these are just pins. Alright. Oop, there she goes. Alright. Same thing as last time. There's some like ugliness there I want to get rid of. Just lightly. Just take the emery board. And I'll learn from myself from before. Maybe just chase out these holes with the pin. Make sure I didn't push any burrs into the hole. All right. You're going for the lower roll center hole. Good recommended starting spot. The higher roll center hole is going to keep the car a lot flatter, but it's going to make the front end a lot more stiff. You're not going to be able to roll the car as more, or roll the car as more, roll the car as much. And that'll put a lot of pressure on the outside of your front tires, and it might cause your front tires to wear a lot on the outside. That can also be done by an improper camber setting, so it's not only that one thing, but that is a culprit. Yeah, okay. And then that is pretty loose. I like it. Get that in here. All right, let's install this one. Other pin. Emery board. I'm using the 240 grit side. Just gonna lightly deburr. I want to take a ton of material off. You're just trying to scrape off any fuzzies or mold burrs. I've been very impressed with Xbility's build, because a lot of the stuff fits together the way it should without having to add shims or sand the crap out of it. I went and bought myself a bulk up reamer, and I haven't really found that the Xbility bulk ups require that at all, so I'll take that as win. There's an ethos about, sometimes it's better to leave a little bit of extra stock on there so you can clean it up yourself. But there's also a little bit of ethos that it could just fit. So this one, well, that one's kind of got a little bit on it too. Huh? Probably because I've tightened up this side a little bit more. Make sure these pins are locked down so they can't rotate. Okay, and then we're giving her the squeeze. Just a squeeze. And I can't really get in there very well on that side, but I can this side. Squeeze. What do we think? There she is. That's nice and loose. Get at it from the top. I like it. Just finesse that a little bit more. Oop, it slipped off. It's slipping off. It does not like me. Okay. Quit while I'm ahead. It works. Alright, cool. Now we got the other side. Come on, pins. Out there. Alright. Same deal. Just ever so lightly. Just trying to clean off any burrs. Should be smooth. I'm not pushing that hard. Alright. Make sure we got the arms facing backwards. I gotta load this one through the front though. This is the way the pin is. So do my caster shims again. My favorite. God. Don't like these. But they're here. So I will withdraw and drop the down pin, little shim thing. Why are you complaining about that thing, Nick? It's not that big of a deal. Tis for me. Alright, so we're going to get it in the very, very top hole here. And once it goes, I need to grab the secondary. One on each side will give you 1.5 degrees of caster. And at the moment, that is what we desire. Let me make sure I got this on here straight. Alright, I should have that in there. Outstanding. Alright. So then we'll grab our trusty 1.3 for these special screws. Alright. Looking good. And that arm has a little hair. It takes something like flush cutters just to pluck that off. Alright. Well, there's an arm on one side. And I choose to do the arms before worrying about the about putting the pillow balls on, because you know the instructions say to put this stuff on after you have the pillow balls all on there, but it's like, could you imagine having to set these caster shims and finesse this the way I'm doing it with all that other stuff dangling? So that's kind of my thought process on this. Alright, get that shim off that screw real quick. Now I suspect I'm going to be on here until I finish this front end and bolt it onto the F1 chassis, and then I am gonna hop off here for the night. Time to eat dinner. I got a vacation to get ready for too, so. Ooh, what am I doing? Trying to be like I'm trying to add that screw in. Oh yeah, okay, here we go. Sorry guys, lost my place there for a second. I was thinking about getting off here and eating food. I'm a fat kid, so that's very appealing to me. Some people have commented that I'm heavy-footed when I marshal, and I'm like, you want your car flipped over or not? I'm just trying to do my job. All right, coolies. All right, so flippity floppity, flippity floppity. If only doing stuff like that would solve world hunger, we'd all be better for it. All right. All right, so we're going to remember now. This is the front. We're facing that way. So the flange has to face downward for the F1. So I want to go ahead and just get this top ball in here. All right, I'm going to grab another one. Doop, doop, doop. And similar thing to what we did before. I want to go to the base of the plastic, to the base of the pillow ball. That's 2.43. So we'll back out a little bit. Well, that part would probably be easier if I actually had the caps on so that it would keep the thing from going in and out. So one step at a time. I was getting so excited to show you something I showed you 20 minutes ago. All right. The truth is, I don't actually expect anybody to watch these videos in their entirety. Unless maybe they're doing something else with their day and this is just on in the background. I could respect that. Sometimes I listen to stuff while I'm at work. I just put it in an earbud and put on a podcast or something. See what's going on, man. Yeah, Xbility's already got the proper build videos. Get that plastic hair off there. There we go. Those build videos are pretty good, I would say. You know, it's official. It's kind of a perk I've learned from watching Grant Boyd's live streams. It's kind of a perk when nobody's here talking to you because you can just keep focused on what you're doing. Ooh, I got that in there crooked. Hold on. That can't be in there all the way. Did I jack up the threads on this or what? I feel like that's going in. No? Alrighty then. No, that's not in all the way. Alright, well, remember where it was like, hey, you got a ton of these extra plastic boys? This might be one of those occasions where we just use one of the other ones. This one wants to just go in there. And I like that kind of thing. All right, we're tight. And we're going to force it. I'm turning the steering knuckle while I am going up and down. That'll just kind of rub the inside parts of the plastic. I personally feel like this actually does something. Maybe it doesn't. But who am I to argue with the results? All right. Loosen both. At least a half a turn. And new flop city. All right. Take one. We're going to tighten it up until it binds. I'm just going to feel for it. Right there. Okay, then we're going to back it up a little bit. It's still binding. A little bit more. Just a couple little creaks of thread. Oh, beautiful. All right. Let's try the other one. I feel like that's going to bind. Oh, yeah. And we'll just loosen it up. Still there. Loosen it up a little more. Still there. A little more. Kind of binding up high. Do I loosen it up a little bit more? It almost feels like the low side's binding. You can kind of pinch these parallel and kind of give it a little wiggle. You can kind of see where. So I might be able to loosen up the lower side a little bit. Get rid of that wiggle. Or get rid of that bind, rather. Oh, yeah. Top feels like it could be a little loose now, so I'm going to tighten the top back up. Just a little bit. Because that bind I was feeling from before, it seems, was in the bottom ball cup. Dude, I accidentally, like before a main, one of my races out in Columbus, I over tightened one of these, like trying to tighten it back up. It made my car do all sorts of funny things. All right. Not going to look gift horse in the mouth. That's pretty good right there. No slop. Yeah, if your arms are binding, I mean, this pillow ball system is awesome, but you got to respect it. You know, it's going to take finesse. A lot of people have a harder time, getting this where they want it to be. Obviously we have the aluminum cap upgrade, but there's work involved. You can't just put them on. You gotta make sure that this is like pivoting freely and doesn't have too much slop, and then you gotta adjust track width and adjust camber. It's really awesome that you can adjust these things, but it's also a burden at the same time. It's a responsibility. If you're gonna have, what is that? Uncle Ben talking to Peter Parker. With great power comes great responsibility. Yeah, something like that. I'm not going to pontificate, but that's just what I believe. Ugh. All right. Loosen them both up. About that half turn. Flippity floppity floop. Okay. Tighten it. Try to find the bind. And it's going to bind right there, so I'll take a little bit off. And we're still binding. A little bit less. Yeah, that works. All right, bottom. Tighten. Tighten until bind. There it is. Take it out a little bit. It's still binding. Take it out a little bit more. Still binding. Ever so slightly. Nope, a little bit more. Hold on. Let me try to see. Okay, so I feel like the bottom has enough slop in it. The top one might be the one doing it. Okay, so feel like I need to tighten the bottom one back up a little bit. Pretty satisfied. All right. Take all of our extras, put it in the extra hardware pile. And then I just got to mount that to that chassis, and we're going to call that a day. So, what's the next bag for F1? Yep, the same thing. It's got all the steering turnbuckles in it. And I'm willing to bet this has the screws I need in it, too. Yep. Just to get us to a good stopping point. Because this has been a 2-hour and 7-minute long live stream. And one of my biggest problems is I don't have a lot of large chunks of time to get things done. I felt like that bound up for a second. I want to play with this. Make sure it's still good. Hell yeah. Alright. So we'll make the front face the front. We'll make these nice little holes, or the nice little pins go into their respective holes. Now it's kind of holding on by itself to some degree. Alright. Loctite is your friend on these. Loctite is your friend on these. Bring that screw in. Bring that screw out. I like to bring it in and out just to spread that Loctite on the threads real good. Because Loctite is your friend on this screw. You don't want your front end coming loose. I can't say that's happened with these cars with me yet, but I've had cars before where the front end came loose on me, and I didn't notice it right away. So I actually did a little bit of racing on a front end that was barely hanging onto the chassis. I had like one screw like significantly backed out. That was a learning experience. Now I'm sharing it with you. Alrighty, so the front end is built and mounted to the car. Thank you for watching with me, and I'm gonna enjoy my dinner. See you at the track.